What's up? Another Wednesday, another live stream. I started on the wrong channel, so I had to jump back in here. Give me a second. We'll get everything set up here. Hey, Savage Town Fred, thanks for joining. Kate and those guys, thanks for joining. We'll invite you in here. Get started. Let's give this 1 minute here. Usually I tell people for the first 2 to 5 minutes, if they're watching playback, to just skip ahead. Get this started. One moment, please. Sorry, I'm just messaging these guys, trying to get them on. There we go.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. How are you? So usually,
so
thanks for jumping on with me here. What's that?
Pleasure to do it. Thanks for having.
Oh, my pleasure. Yeah, usually what I tell people is the first 2 to 5 minutes, if they're watching the replay, just skip it because it's always like setting things up and getting things going. So, Kim Black, thank you for joining.
Oh,
if you have questions, yeah. For Ed, you can drop them down in the comments and we will get to them. So I'll just quick read something off the top and then we can get started. All right, hello and welcome to the Bellwether Ritual live stream where we discuss music, the local Lehigh Valley PA scene, bands, social media, and more. Today is Wednesday, November 8th. My name is Mike and I'm the vocalist guitarist of Bellwether Ritual. Hope you had a good week. Our next show is coming up this Saturday. Actually, our last show for the year is coming up this Saturday, November 11th. So 11/11 at 11 Fest, which is being held by the Bethlehem Public Library to raise money for their studio, which is in the basement, which is pretty cool. So yeah, come on out. And yeah, tonight our guest is Ed of Kate and Those Guys, which took me a second to put together in my head. Kate and Those Guys are an acoustic trio from the Lehigh Valley, PA, and Ed was a mobile DJ for 20 plus years before having a rebirth for the interest of drumming. So that's a really awesome story there. And he's also the founding member of a Lehigh Valley cover band, That Being Said, which is where I initially recognized and know you from. I don't think we've actually ever met, but that's where I know you originally. We'll talk about all that and more. Ed, welcome to the stream. How you doing, man?
Doing great, Mike. I hope you're doing the same.
Yeah. We just got back from a quick rehearsal for that show, so I appreciate you moving it back a little bit tonight, too.
Well, I'm an old guy. I'm in bed at 8 o'clock. So.
I'm going right to bed after this. No worries. Oh, cool. Burn Rocks, what's up? Thanks for jumping in. All right. Anything you want to plug right off the top? You have shows coming up?
Yeah. Actually, we only have 2 shows left for the year. The 18th, this Saturday the 18th, next Saturday, Vinecrest Vineyards and Wineries in Briningsville. And the same location for December 16th. Both of those shows are Saturdays. So, of course, we have a website, ktgtrio.com. And, of course, here on Instagram, and we have a Facebook page also. One thing I would like to point out about the Facebook page is if you search Kate and Those Guys in Facebook, it's -KTG. So I somehow found a way to catch a permanent ban book, and I was the only admin of our original Facebook page. So that
no.
So we got smart now on this second page. There's 3 admins. So
yeah, very important. Corey Conway, thank you for joining. If you have questions, you can drop them in the comments below and we'll read them off. All right, cool. So I took some notes because there's definitely some things I want to talk to you about, especially on the drumming side. But let's see. Uh, Usually what I ask off the top is like, are you from the area originally or did you move in from somewhere else? Yeah.
Up in West Bethlehem. After college, I spent a year in Long Island and then moved back here to Whitehall. And I've
Awesome.
been here in Whitehall for over 30 years.
Where in West Bethlehem?
It was West North Street. So
Oh,
that's between 16th and Highland Avenues. The Greek
yeah. The
is
Greek church, yeah.
at
Yeah,
16th Avenue. And the next one to the west is Highland Avenue. And then between Union Boulevard and Broad Street.
Oh, very cool. I was on the other side of Broad Street, at the bottom of 15th Avenue.
Oh, so
Yeah,
you're a neighborhood guy.
that's pretty cool. All right. So let's see here. What was there a person in your life or a song or a band that really kind of kicked off your interest in music and got you started in that whole thing?
Um, that's a great question. I think the first influence I ever had was in second grade. And it was, I don't remember his name, but he was at that time the band director for Becca High.
Mm,
And came to our grade school and kind of instilled that little bit of a spark in us.
hmm
And that was the first time I picked up drumsticks and a practice pad. So a lot of self-taught on the kit. I think I have a pretty good ear, so I was able to pick out all the parts and pieces and kind of put them all together. And basically, I learned how to play a kit by air drumming. First time I sat down behind a real kit was in high school, freshman year. So yeah, so that's where it all started. And then we put a rock band together in '78, and we played a bunch of local shows, the biggest one of which was Christmas City Fair
Oh, yeah.
in Bethlehem. You might remember that. That was the precursor to Music Fest.
hmm
So that happened in '81. And then after that, everybody kind of drifted apart. Everybody, went to do life after that. And our bass player, or I'm sorry, one of our guitar players back in that band, I reconnected with him in like 2008. And I had written this dumb kid song and, the Kid Rock song. It was like a Kiss thing in '78. And through Facebook, I was able to get everybody that was in that band together again to record the dumb song because everybody remembered it, including the lead guitar parts. And it was so yeah, ended up recording that, and then that's what started That Being Said. Everybody said, "Well, hey, why don't we give this thing a shot?" And then we did, and then a couple of members drifted off. They didn't want to do cover band stuff. They wanted to pursue originals, which I completely get and I understand it. But having only written one song, and you guys I know write, and probably very prolifically, and I'm not a writer. I'm the ear guy and that kind of thing. So we found the musicians in the band, and then we started to look for a lead singer. And we must have auditioned 24 people. And the ads went out across Craigslist and Facebook at the time. And our first lead singer came from Craigslist. And her name's Jen Rarick, and she's a dear friend of mine still today. And she was considerably younger than us. And we asked her, I asked her, I remember asking her, I said, "Jen, what makes you want to sing with us?" And she said, "Well, I look at you guys and I know you're going to get me out of the basement. We're going to play out." And I said, "Well, yeah, you're right." But we had, over the course of 10 years, and that being said, and I'm sorry if I'm being long-winded, but I told you
No, not at all.
emails that I'll talk.
That's what it's for.
So
Go ahead.
And I know we have a couple of those peeps. Kim and Corey are definitely some of those peeps, we call them.
Cool.
And so they might not know all of this, this background stuff and how this all started. But so in the course of 10 years, we had 3 female singers, and they were all younger than us. And Mike, that anywhere you stand in the Lehigh Valley, throw a rock in any direction, and you're going to hit a classic rock band.
Yeah, yeah.
So our whole mission in the music life was to do stuff that nobody else in the Valley would do. So, and we would do, some of the staple classic rock stuff, but these 3 girls brought us, and it sounds sexist a little bit, but these 3 girls brought us material that we would have never dreamed of doing on our own. So we were doing Katy Perry and Lady Gaga and Republica, and all this crazy stuff, and, Hold the Line by Toto. And there was really nothing off limits musically. If anything, I was the weak link musically, but, the lead guitar guys, and, we had one of the best bass players that I've ever heard in the Valley. So, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, I thought you had a great voice too. Toto's Africa, the duet.
Oh yeah.
I thought that was great. Yeah.
Oh, and we appreciate that.
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell you where we pirated that from, but it's on YouTube.
Yeah, that's what I was watching.
Well, the video that we pirated it from was on YouTube.
Right.
But yeah, that version really works well for us, in Kate and those guys. And what we do is maybe a little bit different from other acoustic trios in the Valley, in that Steve plays a full-size 88-key piano. He brings an Ovation acoustic and an Ibanez acoustic. I play a Roland SPD-SX, which is a drum multi-pad, and I attach a kick pedal to it, and it sounds like a 5-piece drum kit, which is, pretty slick. And
I want to talk to you about that, because I love electronic drum kits, and I know that's not a very popular take amongst drummers.
Correct.
They're really cool. Yeah.
They're so versatile, and I'm old, so I don't like to schlep equipment anymore.
Exactly. Yeah. There's so many upsides.
So my ESX sits in a SKB case that's purpose made for it. So I carry my whole drum kit in 2 trips, and that includes our full PA. So that's out. And the other thing we bring true 3-part harmony to the works too. Mm-hmm. So yes. So Kate was our final lead singer, in That Being Said, and she was the longest tenured one. She was with That Being Said for 5 years. So all told, I've been singing with her for 10 years.
That's crazy.
So I know where she's going. She knows where I'm.
Yeah.
And Steve is the new guy. Steve's been with us 4 years.
So what's the secret there to keep the longevity?
We just get along famously, really. We have zero drama. The only drama is in maybe at a rehearsal, you might have a difference of opinion on an arrangement or something like that. Mm-hmm. And then, somebody wins out, and then the other one says, okay, that's cool, and we move on. So, but even after 4 years, we all have a good feeling of parts. And, you hear my speaking voice, I'm definitely like more baritone rangy, but they're like, to me, they say, I think maybe you should take the high harmony. I'm like, damn it. I get the high harmony in Africa.
Yeah.
So, for Bobby Kimball's parts, which Kate nails it, as you heard. Mm-hmm. So, terrific.
Yeah, you both sound great. You're welcome. I just want to shout out a few people who jumped in so far here. K Black, Robopar 923. I'm gonna butcher your names. Angel Gable, Iker 42, Nitro Punk Mike. Thanks for jumping in, man. Eat the Band. Thanks for jumping in. If you have questions for Ed, you could throw them down in the comments below. Embracing technology. Like, we don't, for the first couple shows we did, we didn't run amps at all. We just used modelers and went straight in, and just trying to see what we can get. Like,
and I don't audio geek too, to hold nothing back from me.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we kind of went back to amps a little bit, or run both now, depending for like monitoring or front of house. But yeah, it's been interesting. The electronic side of things and the tech really kind of hit like a high point recently, I feel like.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
All right. So what were some of the things, like you said you auditioned a whole lot of people for this position? What were some of the things that was on your checklist that, the person was looking for?
Oh, I'm so happy you answered this question. The main criteria was that everybody had to know Michael Schenker's "Are You Ready to Rock?" because that was the opener. That was it, and nobody was prepared for that. Nobody ever heard it before. And when Jen came in and auditioned, she nailed it, and it was like, yeah, okay. So that was the main criteria. And I think what we did is we sent out, if memory serves, because this is going back to 2009, is we sent out a list of, like our set list. And we had them pick like 5 songs that they wanted to do. And then they just come in and we'd let them rip. And I think there was one day when we probably did 8 auditions and they were all back to back. So yeah, it was a long day. And there may have been some beers involved, and
Oh yeah. Do you suffer from ear fatigue, but you can suffer
and both not good.
no, especially together. Iker42 says, "Yo, fellas, hop on Instagram to see 2 former coworkers chatting."
Yep.
Yeah.
Hi, Mike. Hi, Mike. How you doing, brother? Last I saw him was we played at the Iron Pigs Coca-Cola Park, and Mike came and said hello. We hadn't seen each other. I hadn't seen him in quite some time, so it was good to see him again.
Awesome. And Chaos Guitars, thank you for joining as well. It was his fake birthday today. Someone posted like "Happy Birthday," and I was like, "Oh, cool, happy birthday." Well, that's what everyone started jumping in, but he said it's not till April. So I thought that's kind of funny.
First, and he'll say "Happy Birthday," but it's April Fool's.
Yeah. So, and then you're also a trio. Like I feel like you are. I don't want to say minimalistic, because I really like minimal, like pulling things back and doing like really just what's needed there. But I think people sometimes take that the wrong way. But like being a trio, and you, like you're saying, using the pad instead of a full kit, I feel like it's just smart and like really taking advantage of that.
Well, the biggest advantage of it is you have complete control over your volume.
That's the thing I wanted to get to. Thank you. Yeah, I have an electronic kit that I bought just to rehearse like a band with, and that was the greatest part. And to run, you could just run headphones, and you could just run everything through headphones.
Right.
That was another big one.
Because everybody off in your house when you're practicing.
Yeah.
Yeah, the SPD has a headphone out too, but we've been playing so much that I would drive my wife nuts if I rehearsed in the house, even with that pad.
Yeah.
Hears it, and but rehearse enough that's my practice, and I have it set up. It's very intuitive.
Mm-hmm.
So I have 9 complete pads that I can use, plus the kick pedal, and that's just a trigger on a standard kick pedal. I'm using an Iron Cobra 100,
Mm-hmm.
cheapest kick pedal you can possibly buy, and you mount the kick trigger to it, plugs right into use a guitar cable, and plug it right into the SPD, and away we go. Under my primary pad under my left hand is the snare. Primary pad on the right side is my hi-hat. I have 3 toms across the top. I have a clap track closest to me in the middle, between the snare and hi-hat, and then I have a ride cymbal and 2 crashes. So it's like I said, it's like a 5-piece kit with 3.
That's awesome.
The only ability I don't have is I don't have the ability to open the hi-hat yet. So that might be coming. But we'll see how that goes. So far, I really haven't needed it, but it would be nice.
That is the one downside of the kit that I got was the hi-hat pedal. It was hard to like get it to work properly.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah, there's definitely a bit of a learning curve to those hi-hat pedals, and they can get quite expensive.
yeah. What do you think the big pushback? Like, because I've had this kit for a long time, and some drummers are like, "Of course I'll play it, jump right on," and some are like, "Nope, got to play my kit." So I don't know. Just I guess I think the same thing with guitarists. Like some of them don't want to play modelers, or they only want to play a specific kind of amp or whatever. I'm not really that picky, but
Uh-huh.
yeah, I don't know. What do you think the pushback is? Just they spend a whole shit ton of money on
Yeah, back in T,
real drums.
Mike, our guitar player, he God, how many amps did he have? He probably easily a half a dozen.
Hmm.
So, it was, well, what kind of amp/amps am I going to use for this particular show?
Mm-hmm.
Just a real funny, quick one. When Jen first came and started rehearsing with us, Mike was using a little Egnator Rebel 20 with a single 12 cab, and Jen looked at that thing because it only stands like so high. It's small, and she said, "What are you gonna do with that little thing?" And Mike just turned around and aimed, and he hit the good power A, and she said, "Okay,
Yeah.
I'm good." Yeah, he had a lot of firepower if he wanted it. So,
Yeah.
and I
Like I was saying,
just
yeah,
to get myself in trouble. So,
yeah.
cowboy chords.
Yep. It's fun. Just crank it and have a good time.
Oh, that little Egnator, that was the sound of my youth.
Hmm.
Because guys were playing half stack Marshalls religiously back in the mid '80s.
Yeah.
Egnator was the closest thing I heard to a Marshall, and it was tiny.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. I used
But,
to do the big amp thing too, and now it's just like technology has gotten to the point where there's so many upsides. Just like I'm just going with
you know what and you look on social media, and all these guys are saying, rate my rig, and they're playing a full Marshall stack. Dude, what stadium are you going to play?
yeah,
Where are you going to use that in the Lehigh Valley?
yeah.
You're not. A single 12, dual 12, 25, 30-watt amp. That's all you need, because you're probably going to mic it anyway.
That's what I switched to. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. Hey,
Um,
and, several $1,000s on a full stack. Power to you.
yeah. You could pay that for a modeler anyway too if you
Oh,
want to
yeah.
spend that money.
Using a
For sure. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Oh, with the one I have, you mean?
Yeah.
Oh, it's a stomp, line six stomp.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So yeah, it's like perfect for us. It's really like a sweet spot. It looks just like a pedal.
Hmm.
It's the size of a pedal, but man, it does so much. It's a real game changer.
Oh, yeah. Uh,
Let's
game
yeah, go
changer.
ahead.
Steve brought it's a Boss chorus,
Mm,
and it's amazing what the sound that thing produces.
hmm.
And it's reasonably priced, and it changed everything in our sound. It just made everything so much fuller.
Yeah.
And
But
I'll say that right away too. No backing tracks whatsoever. Everything that comes out of our PA is just the three of us.
very cool. Bryrex, thank you for joining. We appreciate you jumping in here again. So when you initially were getting the band together, you already had a set list kind of thought out. Like, what was the direction that you wanted to go?
In TBS or in Kate and those guys?
I guess could start with that being said, and then what changed,
Yeah,
and when that transition
but it
happened.
all started off with the standard classic rock bass, set list that pretty much everybody plays, um, and then Jen came to us one day at rehearsal, and she said, "How about we do this?" and I think I don't know if it was the first one, but it was a cover of Lady Gaga's Just Dance. And we found a version of it on YouTube by a band called Disco Curtis. And it's extremely two guitar driven, and it rips. So that was the version we played, and that pretty much changed the direction, because then we started to do more of the modern pop stuff intermixed with the classic rock. That's what made us different, hopefully different from all the other, from everybody else that was playing. And I don't want to detract from anybody else, because we get along with everybody pretty much in the Lehigh Valley scene. We don't like drama. If you ask us to play, a double bill show, no problem. We'll do that. So Kate and those guys came about in 2013. We just celebrated 10 years. And time.
Congrats. Yeah, that's crazy.
It's 10 years flew by. It's like, what happened? But TBS was going full bore at that time. We were 5 years into the scene. And Kate's boyfriend at the time had an autistic son, and he put together a fundraiser here at a hotel in Whitehall, pool party. And he said, hey, do you think you and a couple guys from the band could maybe, do something acoustic, background sound? And that's where it started. So we did that show, eked our way through it, stealing all the TBS set list stuff. And at the end of the show, we said, you know what, that was pretty cool. Why don't we do something with this? And here we are 10 years later. So that's how it started. And it was, I'm going to give props to Mike Anthus. I don't know if he joined, but he was our guitar player for TBS. Mike is the only guy in TBS that played all 196 shows that we did over the course of it. He
how many?
Did not miss one show. Everybody else in the band missed at least one, for various reasons. When your son is in the military and he's getting married in South Carolina, I think that's a good enough reason that you do not play a show and you go to your son's wedding. So, but we made that work too. But Mike, 196 shows, didn't miss a one. He played with us for 6 years, in Kate and those guys. And now he plays with Stephanie Johnson. So it's Steph and Mike. Cool.
What was your schedule like? Like, how often were you playing? That's a lot of shows.
Well, that was over the course of 10 years. So we were doing, 4 or 5 a month. It wasn't overbearing. It was manageable. So now with Kate and those guys, we're capable of doing more, but we like the schedule we have. For example, Tim and Corey, they come see us quite often at Vinecrest. We're there once a month. So they really like what we do, and we tend to get a nice group of people under that tent. And there goes my mind, because I was leading this somewhere. I'm old, Mike. I'm old.
It is almost 9 o'clock. I hear you. I'm there. I'm with you.
So, so I right now we're doing 2-3 a month. And for us, that's good. Kate has a very busy schedule at home. She has 2 sons, the youngest of which is 3.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, and he goes to sleep on his time schedule. So, sometimes it's 8 o'clock at night, sometimes 11, sometimes 2 in the morning. So, and plus she's studying she has a bachelor's in forensic psychology, and she's pursuing her master's in that. So, besides having the kids, she's doing college studies and full-time job and singing with us.
Wow.
She's definitely the busiest. Steve probably is almost as busy. He plays in 4 different bands, including us. And I like to rib him and say, well, which one keeps you the busiest? And it's us.
Yeah.
So, but it's good. And like I said, we have a great time. Steve, I'm sending props to him too.
Shout out to Steve.
Musical savant, as far as I'm
cool.
probably not diagnosed, but if he's completely self-taught piano and guitar. And if he can figure out the mechanics of an instrument, he can play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a little frightening sometimes,
yeah.
Because there I am, if I'm strumming a guitar, it's G, C, 4-finger G though.
You get points for that. Yeah.
Yeah, so
definitely points for that. Angel says, I don't miss the toddler days. Yeah. So our guitarist she just turned 1, I think, in July. So yeah.
Yeah,
we feel
almost 2.5-year-old grandson.
And, cool.
And little Lucy is, I'll be in trouble for this if my daughters listen. Both are listening. 6 months, 7 months. So with them, we go visit. We spoil them rotten and then we leave.
Yeah. Let's see. So are you are you kind of mainly focused on shows, or like do you have a rehearsal schedule that you keep as well, or do you do enough shows that it's not?
Too, but all three of us are real good at doing homework.
Yeah.
Yep. So we decide on a version, and everybody knows what the version is. And then and my favorite saying is, listen to it 100 times.
Mm-hmm.
Do it 100 times. Now you're going to know it. So that's what we do. And then we'll get our rehearsals, and TBS was pretty much the same way. It was all homework oriented. And then rehearsals were strictly for polish and, making sure the arrangement's tight.
Yeah.
That's what we do. But there are some things that take more than one rehearsal. And there's one, we do a couple of different mashups. And it starts off with La Bamba.
Oh, nice.
Bamba, And you as a guitar player appreciate this. Twist and Shout is the same song as La Bamba. Right? So we morph from La Bamba right into Twist and Shout. And I do La Bamba, Kate does Twist and Shout, and then Steve comes up with whatever he's going to come up with. And he tells us. But the strange thing is, the first one he ever did was Highway to Hell. But he plays La Bamba through all of the whole thing.
Oh, I see.
And then at the very end, we have a little twist. And this is where, the 10 years of Kate and I come into play. And that's, I'm driving down the road and I'm thinking about these songs in my head. And I'm thinking, wait a minute, you can take La Bamba and Twist and Shout and make them together, La 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 Bamba, Twist and Shout, that. And I throw this out there at rehearsal, and Kate looks at me and she says, I thought the exact same thing. And I'm like, then I got the chills. Yeah. But yeah, so it's.
I wanted to talk to you about that. When you spend so much time with someone like that, like they say, like musicians' brains sync when you play together.
Mm-hmm.
And like I feel like there is a point, like you can feel you kind of like lock in and are on the same wavelength. Like that I know it's a saying, but it's almost like literal too. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's there's many times that we'll be thinking the exact same thing.
Yeah, it's freaky.
10 years together, and we're like an old married couple. We complete each other's sentences and all this stuff. But so it from a musical standpoint, it's fantastic. It just works. And like when you sing harmony with somebody, you feel that vibration.
Yeah.
That's it. That's how I can describe it.
It's such a satisfying feeling when you do it. Yeah,
and you get that vibration, and that's what keeps you where you need to be.
Mm-hmm. Very cool. Chaos Incarnate Rose, thank you for joining. Uh, Corey Conway says, you guys are great at winging it, to just like your last Finecrest show with Jen.
And
Thumbs up.
I usually wear glasses, and I'm like, but
I need glasses, so yeah.
yeah, that was Corey brings up a great point. Kate got pretty sick for our last show at Minecrest, which was 2 weekends ago. And at 9 o'clock in the morning, I called Jen up and I said, hey, I hate to put you on the spot, but how'd you like to sing this afternoon? Kate's pretty sick. And Jen said, oh, I haven't sung in, probably a year and a half. And she's another music teacher, and she's got that little savant streak in her too. She's another one. Her main instrument is French horn. And back in the TBS days, we used to play tub thumping, Chumbawamba, and she'd play the trumpet part.
Oh, very cool.
She borrowed a trumpet from the middle school, and but she said, I'm afraid I would be terrible. And I said, Jen, come on, you're an old pro. You're not going to be terrible. You're going to be fine. And she said, okay, I'll do it. So from 9 o'clock in the morning, the show started at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I emailed her a set list, and she was pretty much ready to go. We changed around things a little bit. We did a couple of Elton John things at the very beginning, and then we introduced her. And if Kate's not with us, which is, of course, rare, we go by those guys and that girl featuring and so that's how we brought her on, and she did a great job, especially to wing it at the last minute.
Very cool. Yeah, there is something, musicians you kind of come to expect that a little bit sometimes too. Like you're always, you've done it so many times, like sometimes you just have to dust it off and have the courage to go up there and everything falls into place.
Yeah, and at this point, there are no butterflies.
I was going to ask you that. Do you ever get stage fright? Or
No.
Have you ever gotten stage fright?
Probably the first couple shows with TBS, because our very first show was just a showcase at Dave Phillips Music in Allentown.
Yeah.
We did an hour set. Of course, it's unpaid, but Brent Schnell was working there and doing the sound, and he's a consummate sound guy, so terrific. And that's where we played our first show. It was an hour set, and I set up this monster kit for an hour, play an hour, tear it down, take it home. So it was that one, and then after we booked a couple of shows, the first couple, I'd say maybe the first half dozen. But then you know how it is too. Once you get through that first song and a half, then you settle down.
Yeah.
And drummer, you don't rush anymore. You find your meter. So the first couple in that first show, I'm sure I was rushing a little bit. But but anymore, no. But now it's 2009 till now. Was that 14 years? After 14 years of doing it on such a regular basis, there's no more butterflies. It's more, I think it's more anticipation, of the first hit, and then after that, no problem.
Yeah, I still get it sometimes where I just like, I'll be fine when it's over, but usually after it starts, you're good. Do you have, you talked about Vinecrest a couple times. Do you have like a favorite venue or venues?
I think I can speak for all three of us, and I would say that Vinecrest is probably it. On Arrowhead Road in Briningsville, it's very easy to get to, very accessible. They have a pretty huge tent that is set up year-round. They have 12 patio heaters in there, plus fire pits. So, in January, February, when it's cold outside, it's probably 65 degrees in the tent. During the warmer months, all the tent flaps are open. So nothing is better for me, since I carry the PA, which is not super huge anyway, but the PA and all my gear. I can back right up to where I'm going to set up. So my load in is about 5 feet. And then when flaps are closed, now the load in's about 20 feet. So that makes it great. And they've just been so wonderful to us over the last couple of years. And they love us. We love them. We have a great relationship. And hopefully that will continue for 2024.
Very cool. You're just kind of wrapping up the end of the year. I think you're talking about your 2 more shows, right?
Yeah.
Are you starting to book already? Like you're trying to get ahead of things?
You don't have anything actively for 24, but I'm going to let the cat out of the bag with this one.
All right, breaking news.
Yeah. There's the owner of Vinecrest came to me and she said, you know what, we just love you guys and we love having you here. And I said, well, Jen, we love you back. It's such a great place. We love playing here. And she said, it's time to start booking for, at that point, 2023. And she said, here's my calendar. It's completely empty. We're coming to you guys first. And she said, her exact words were, take what you want. And we're all of the opinion that we don't want to overstay our welcome.
Yeah.
So you don't want to, be there every other weekend because, everybody is getting tired of us and we'll get stagnant ourselves.
Yeah.
So one of the last couple shows, one of the ladies that takes care of us when we're there, she came to us and she said, why aren't you guys here more often? And I said, well, we're here once a month. And she said, you could probably be here more. So hopefully the plan for 2024 is once every 3 weeks. That's entirely up to them. That's something I'm not going to, and I do the booking. So I'm not going to force any issues. I'm not going to force us upon them. If they like what I have laid out, if they're coming to us first and they're saying, we're coming to you first, then I'm saying, okay, there's history there. Now I'm coming to you first too, and I'm going to show you what we hope the plan will be for 24. And if you agree to it, great. If you want to change it, that's great too. We'll definitely work together, especially, with a venue like that.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's mutual, it's definitely a partnership feeling, where they're helping us, we're helping them. And to us, it just works. And, I wish the other 2 could have been here with me. And, but, Kate's busy. She's just.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And Steve, I don't know what his plans were for tonight, but we're all probably within no more than a half an hour of each other on the drive. So, but yeah, and I'm sorry, I tend to squirrel too.
Not at all. You talked about like getting the timing right too of like how long do you usually, what's your set lengths usually like too? Because we're always, I mean, we're a different situation a bit, but I'm always curious to hear like what people think about that kind of stuff.
Our most common is a 3-hour show, but
Yeah.
we'll play an hour and 15 minutes. We'll take 1 30-minute break and do another. And if the feeling's right and the venue's okay with it, we're not afraid to go over.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, we just did a private party a couple weeks ago, and our peeps will be happy to know that we've added probably 6 or 8 songs that we did for that private party, and they'll surprise you, some of them. Because it was actually a 70th birthday party, and so some of the songs that they requested were a little bit older, but that's fine by me. I'm not far off that number myself. So again, swirling real quick, PA, and the gearheads think alike. So we use a Bose. So setting up the PA takes 10 minutes. Mm-hmm. And we haven't had a venue yet where it wouldn't suffice on its own. We've have had added extra firepower if need be, just to keep stage volume down, because as good as that Bose is with not feeding back, it will if we're too close to it. So I actually have a 2300 watt JBL stack up in my office upstairs. So if I have to pull that out, you know, it's going to be a serious show.
Yeah, I love you're talking about playing to the size of the room. I think that's a lot of bands could learn from that, and you don't need to go big until you are on a stage that requires it. Yeah.
Right. And line
Um,
arrays are the way to go if you can afford them. And the Bose is probably the least expensive line array you can get. And the L1S2, so it's not their latest and greatest. So it is 4 years old, but the sub is two 10-inch woofers in it, and then the primary stack, which is
is it? Yeah, they're like,
yeah, it's like this big around.
what'd you call it? A line array?
It's a line array, yeah.
What's that
Um,
mean?
now in that Bose, there's that, let's call it a stalk, is two
Mm-hmm.
sections. The bottom section is a dummy, and the top section is 12 speakers, 2.5-inch speakers, and they're placed at different angles. So it's 170 degrees of dispersion with just that top half. The biggest system you can get is both pieces of the stock have 12 speakers in them, and that one it's a ridiculous power, and it comes with a ridiculous price. That one's like, you know, almost $4,000. No, you know,
No thanks.
what I have is already 2,800.
Yeah,
And
that's plenty.
that's another 8. So, but Steve does use an outboard Mackie mixer just because of the gear he brings, and then he submixes all his stuff and then runs it into our Bose mixer, which is only 4 channels. It's all you need. All you need, and it does every kind of effect you can imagine, and it's relatively easy to set up. And we don't even use a lot of effect. We use a little bit of reverb and maybe just a little bit of EQ and a little bit of compression, and we're good to go. All Shure 58 mics, whether they're wireless or not. So we're using quality mics there too. So everything sounds as good as we could possibly make it sound for what, you know, for the price point that we were comfortable with. I'm sorry.
Very cool, Kim.
We're geeking out.
That's okay. Yeah, that's what I'd like to do. Kim Black says, always a great time with you guys at Vinecrest. Very cool. Thanks for
Thank you, Kim.
making a comment there, Kim. Yeah, thank you. Let's see. Do you have any like crazy, you were DJ for a long time too. Do you have any like crazy performance stories or like something wacky happened or anything like that at a performance?
That's a long time ago.
Oh, it doesn't have to be that. I mean, it could be any time recently too.
I'd have to say probably no. I don't remember anything, you know, overly wacky, except if there's any wackiness, it's probably coming from us. You know, than some, and I think that's what you were asking. You know, like, because sometimes, you know, especially in the old DJ days with, you know, you're doing weddings and stuff like that, and the adults are flowing like water, and some little bit of craziness happens. But other than people having an excessively good time back in the DJ days, there was nothing like that would be terribly interesting. But with us, you know, actually, Kate has a little bit of a history with stand-up comedy.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, so her comedic timing is pretty good, and we play off of each other, and it's all 3 of us. But I end up doing most of the talking, and it's probably because of the DJ days, because I was doing all the talking back then. You know, so I'll throw something at her, she'll throw something back. Same with Steve. There was a time when my knees were better than they are now, and my back, that, you know, we both use wireless. So, you know, if I didn't have to drum for something, depending on what song it was, either of us would be out in the crowd or both of us would be out there. So that was, as wacky as it got. Back in the TBS days, she wasn't afraid to jump up on a bar and sing.
Mm-hmm.
We got banned from one place for that because, somebody decided to take a video of it and post it and tag the place that we played.
Oops.
And she said, "Why was Kate up on my bar?" I said, she's an entertainer.
Yeah.
No, it's not the first time she climbed up on a bar. She did gymnastics when she was younger for 14 years. So she's the last person that's going to fall.
Yeah.
If she does, she knows how to land.
Mm.
So, yeah. So that's what it gets these days.
Gymnastics and stand-up comedy, that's an interesting
Yeah.
combination.
Well, she has some history with other bands too. She sang with Hogleg, which I had never heard of, and that was just before TBS. wasn't long before. And she also sang with Johnny Rocket, which is an original. What's the word I'm looking for? And I got my cheat sheet here, so I can say rockabilly and pop.
Oh, cool.
And they played, the tri-state area here. Mm-hmm. So just a little bit of touring experience too. So, but as far as I know, she's happy with us, and we're happy all together. So hopefully we'll go until one of us can't go anymore. But
yeah, I'd say that's a quite an accomplishment, and it's just good to hear. Like, people stick it out for that long. Like, that's something I'm always curious. Like, how do you keep things together for that long? And it's great to hear.
And well, you to the point too where you see each other too much, and then that realities start to clash, and then that's when things go a little bit sideways. So I think that's important too, where you're a family, but you're not a family that's all under one roof. So
yeah,
you're not seeing each other every minute of every day.
Yeah.
So I think that's what helps keep it fresh too.
Yeah, I agree. Mind the boundaries. All right. Well, I think that's a pretty good place to start to wrap things up here. Why don't you plug everything one more time that you have coming up, and then
Yeah, so folks, we have 2 more shows this year, and then we're going to start looking at booking 2024 in earnest. But the remaining shows this year, both of them at Vinecrest Vineyards and Winery, once again on Arrowhead Road in Briningsville. Those shows are Saturday afternoons, both of them from 1 to 4. So, hey, hashtag day drinking. November 18th, 1 to 4, and December 16th, 1 to 4. Hey, please visit our website, ktgtrio.com. Also here on Instagram, Kate and those guys. If you just search that, you'll find us. We'll come up. And just so everybody knows, I'm the only one of us on Instagram. So if you see Kate and those guys, that's me. So, and also, last but not least, the 2 Facebook pages. One is dormant, but what we have done now with the new page, which is Kate and those guys dash KTG. When we post, we tag the original page. So if people happen to be on, still sticking around on that page, they catch the tag. And the big thing there, which kind of cheesed me off a little bit, was when I caught myself banned. And if you look at my Facebook name and put it together.
Oh,
yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah.
My wife was clever with that one.
Yeah.
So when I caught the band, I was the only admin of that original page, and I lost admin control of it, and it's dormant. So that's why we tend to tag it off the new page. And it was a shame. We lost 1,200 followers.
Oh, that is tough. Yeah.
So, but I think that's really all I have to plug. Hey, we give out free fridge magnets if you come to our shows.
So. Oh, all right. Don't forget that. Yeah. That's interesting. I don't think I've ever heard of that. We were thinking about doing like guitar picks and a couple other things, but
Oh
I'll have to look that up.
yeah, Steve took care of that for us.
Okay,
So they're
cool.
not huge, they're like so,
Yeah,
but they're nice and they work, and hey, it's something to take home and stick on the fridge and remember us
that's
by.
exactly
So
what it's about.
yep,
Yep. All right. Well, Ed, thank you so much, Ed from Kate and those guys again.
here,
Well,
Mike.
you can watch this.
It
Yep.
was definitely a pleasure, and hopefully we'll get to meet in person one of these days.
Yeah, man, that'd be awesome. And thank you all for hanging out and asking questions and posting comments. We appreciate it. All right.
Absolutely.
Have a good night.
Take care, everybody. Thanks again, Mike.
Bye bye. You're welcome.